Let's illustrate this beautiful girl in Procreate together. Hi guys, my name is Hannah and I am a digital illustrator, and I just love showing my process and all behind the scenes of created illustration in Procreate or sometimes in Photoshop. So I found this beautiful photo online, and unfortunately I think it's created by AI, which is not that good as we know we don't like AI when it comes to creating photos or art, but I just simply like the mood and I thought it will be a good reference just to create a simple illustration. I created the main shape of the character, and from now on I will be working inside of this shape using the clipping mask. I do this all the time and I just love how it works and saves time, and also a little bit organize your workflow and your layers, as I usually don't rename my layers at all. If you're looking for the brush that I'm using, you can always check out on the left corner of your screen. I will show each time I'll change the brush, so you definitely know which one it is. But I also have the whole YouTube video dedicated to my favorite Procreate brushes, and you should definitely check it out if you like the brushes that I'm using. As well, I will include the list of the names of the brushes in the description below. For now, I'm just going ahead and defining the main shapes like the eyes, hair, clothes, flowers, and so on, and each of them are on the different layers. Later on, as Procreate, as you know, have limited layers count, I will be combining some of them, so just so you know, this is the heads up, there will be combining some of the layers in the future. When I'm done with defining the main shapes, I will go in with my favorite brush and just add some texture. The illustration isn't that flat. I'm just adding some blush in the ears. I usually do that in the ears and the hands and the nose. When I add texture, I usually lock the element with 2 fingers, swiping to the right on the layer to have this on an alpha lock, which means you're staying inside of the object on this particular layer. I don't have a particular color palette ready to go for this illustration, however I did a color thumbnail beforehand just to give me a feeling of the direction that I wanted to go. And this is the reason, because I'm working with a reference photo. It is like a photo study at the moment, so I don't have a color palette. I'm just looking at the photo that I'm illustrating and choosing the colors that I think will look the best and will make my illustration look as similar as near to the photo. But of course, sometimes I change them, I add more other colors because I like the feeling that the watercolors give. So this is what I am aiming for, and I just feel like the more color you add, the more alive the illustration get. Sometimes it might feel unnatural to add like purple to green on the texture, but the thing is, in the real life, the object, it reflects a lot of light, and it just simply isn't one green color or one red color. So don't be afraid to add a little bit more, brighten up your illustration. In my opinion, it makes your illustration more appealing to an eye. But of course, if your style is just like working with the flat colors, still it is totally fine. I think it also depends on your style and on your vision, but in my case, I believe in colorful elements. I'm still working on my character and building up all of the elements, so I am still in the group of my character, which means I have the main shape and I build up my elements on top of it using the clipping mask. I'm just repeating it so you get what I am actually at. And right now I am adding the embroidery of the dress, so here and there, and I'm just speeding up the process because it's repeating itself and I don't think it is really interesting to look on my process for hours and hours and hours. I am on my background layer. Yes, this is a new step and I'm using my favorite brush again, and I'm just adding the colors here and there and comparing it to my reference picture. I will be now building my background with the different brushes and different elements. It will go from simple to a little bit more detailed, but I want you to know that there is no right way to do that, and I'm not always working this way. In this particular case, the background will be almost completely blurry, so I don't actually have a sketch for the background, or am I worrying about being clean and clear, because it's almost doesn't matter because a lot of the elements will be blurred. What it is important is like the colors, the contrast, and just like the shapes of some of the trees behind on or of the grass. So this is what I'm doing. Just so you know, my background and the grass that you see on the illustration are on two separate layers. I usually work with a lot of layers, as much as Procreate can give me, just because I like to have my elements and just like background, foreground and character on separate layers in case I will need to make a change, whether it will be a color change or a shape change. You can always do that. However, because it is a limited amount of layers, I will combine some of them, and it is always a hard decision for me. So sometimes I will just like simply copy my art, work my illustration in the Procreate inside, and just work on the other version of it in case I will need to go back a few steps or so. I often work with lasso tool, as you see me doing in here, because sometimes it gives like a sharper edges and a clearer form and some unexpected forms, which I kind of like. That's why from time to time I will use it, especially when I'm working on buildings or so. But in this case I felt like tree shapes will be the perfect tool to use. I work a lot with different layer modes, and I will be now using an overlay mode to change the light of the background a little bit the way that I wanted to have, like just adding more blues or greens. And I'm doing that before I'm actually going ahead and combine the background layers. And I will go ahead and just go to a Gaussian blur and blur the whole background to give it that depth effect. And as you can see, this is the reason why I am not really detailed with the background, because it doesn't matter, you can see it anyway. And while I'm adding more twigs and greenery and leaves and so on the different separate layers and getting inspired by my reference photo, I just wanted to jump in and say that I didn't know this was an AI created image, generated image. I just actually was trying to find the author of it after I created the illustration, because I wanted to mention it here in YouTube, and I asked ChatGPT whether it's AI created because I couldn't find any artist. ChatGPT said me yes, it's probably created by AI. So yeah, I don't support AI creating images, so this was a coincidence, because I'm not really good in detecting AI generated images. If you think that some element in your photo reference is important to the story or is important to your composition, you should definitely make it, illustrated it, and just give it more details, like I do with those particular leaves behind the character, because I feel like it gives more contrast to the background. It separates a little bit more and just gives a little bit more color, different color to the whole illustration. I usually have a script ready for my videos just so I know what I should talk about, but today I decided I want to have like just simple voiceover and talk about the elements, the process, the colors, and so on. And I wanted to ask you, please give me the feedback whether you like those kind of voiceovers, or do you want like more specific voiceovers, specific details, and less blah 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 behind the scenes, which I really enjoy talking a lot. So just let me know in the comments so I can like improve myself in the future videos. I am duplicating the layer with a greenery and turning off the other layer. It's the same layer, I'm leaving it just in case I want to go back a step, and just blurring the second one. And I often do that with the backgrounds when I'm not sure whether I want to leave it that way or change it, so I just like having the same layer duplicated. One is turned on and the other one is turned off.
As the sun slowly crept into the sky, it filled the morning air with warmth and life. Sounds of birds in harmony, and you there right next to me. Oh, no matter where we go, oh, my heart is yours to hold. Through all the storms, I'm by your side. Through days of warmth, I'm by your side. Like the stars and the moon in the nighttime sky, I'm by your side. Walking in cold nights with your hand in mine, all wrapped up warm, sitting by the fire. This life is the best, living wild and free, with you there right next to me. Oh,
We are slowly getting nearer to my favorite steps, is adding shadow and light. So to add a shadow, I will create a new layer and set it to a multiply mode. I will choose a light bluish grayish color and just add my shadows. In this case, I am using a lasso tool to like separate the inside of the head or at the character, and I will go ahead and add the shadow with my favorite brush. Sometimes I will do it over and over again until I'm satisfied. I will might go a little bit darker or lighter, it depends of course. So I will almost always have multiple shadow layers because I need to go like underneath the head or so on. That's why I'm using a lot of them. If you're not sure where to add the shadow, just look at your photo reference. If you're not working with a photo reference, go look for one. It is really helpful just so you like come as near as possible to what it is in the nature. But of course you can just exaggerate it in any ways when you feel comfortable with it. When I work on shadows, I usually start really light and then go darker and darker with the time. I don't want to overwork it, and I just not really sure how dark I wanted to go. So this gave me the flexibility and the opportunity to just check it out, different options.
summer comes and goes, they say, but with you, darling, it only stays. As sure as a new sunrise, forever in your lane. river walks. The sun is low, but it's not lost. We got time to waste tonight. Let's find a place for only you and I. It's sure as a new sunrise, and as white as the moon is at night. It's sure as a new.
Sometimes when I think my shadows could be even deeper, I will just duplicate my shadow layer and it intensifies this immediately. As you can probably see, I'm always using like a limited amount of the brushes. In this case, there are probably 6 or so of them. I just don't like to overdo it or overwork it, so I like to stay to my favorite brushes and just use all of them again and again. I will often go and jump from different steps, like I was adding a background, then I'm working on the character, I'm done with shadows on the character, so I'll go ahead and add a foreground, and after that I will go and add shadows under the character and so on, and I will skip the step and I will go and add more details here and there. So I am jumping from the step to the step, and this is totally normal. I kept this kind of a process from when I was working with the traditional media, like with the watercolors, and I was taught like do and go and work on different elements, just build up your illustration brick by brick, and it is better for the whole image just to see what needs more work, what needs more elements, if you would like just go and jump between all of them. Now I will go ahead and add a new layer and set it to a hard light to add a reflected light in the eyes from the sky. It gives it more like a depth to an eye, like more shape, and I really like this step. For it I am using a pretty bright blue color, but you can try all of the different options. Now I will add a reflected light on the character, like there's reflected light from the grass, from the sky, and so on. For it, I will be using an overlay mode on my layers and use a soft brush, add some blue, some green colors here and there when I think it is most definitely go. Don't feel afraid to experiment with it with this step, because it is a digital illustration and in any time you can just turn off your layer or just delete it or even go a step back. But this step is definitely one of my favorites because it gives your illustration even more life, even more like a real feeling. Now I will be adding even more color on the edges of the character. This will be a little bit brighter and it will separate it from the background even more. For it I am also using an overlay mode. And now is my final favorite step of them all, is to add more light, of course. So go ahead, add a new layer, set it to an addition mode, choose the color of your liking, in this case I'm using blue, and just get and give it an outline on those places where the light hits the most, where the hair is in the air, here and there, and it will make your illustration so much brighter. When I'm almost done with my illustration, I really like to go ahead and add some of the tweaks here and there, like when I forgot some of the shadows in here, or I need a little bit more details here and there on the flowers, so I will go ahead and just finalize it. And of course I need to add a reflection in her eyes, so I will add a new layer, set it to an overlay mode, go ahead with a brighter yellow color and just draw in those reflections on the eyes and the nose. The light is not only reflecting on the character, but also on our surroundings. That's why I am adding some of the reflected light, skylight on the greenery behind the character. And that's it, guys. This is the whole process. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope this was helpful and you can learn something new. If not, you can just enjoy the whole process while working on your own illustration. If you have any questions, just feel free and comment them in this comment section below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys!